Welcome to AP Computer Science. We're going to look at how to do the assignment 3.0. Assignment 3.0 is a three-part assignment. The first part is to draw a flower method to have 6 circular yellow petals distributed around the outside of the red center, overlapping it somewhat. Exercise 1.21. That's to write an application program that draws 5 circles of different colors and sizes at a variety of points on the drawing surface and pause a half second between circles. Then exercise 1.22, describe the types of situations you have seen within a class in which you use parentheses. So we're going to look at all 3 components of assignment 3. Now the first thing you're going to need to make sure is that you've got in the folder you're going to send to me, at the very minimum, Turtle and Turtlet, your Java programs, inside of the folder. I made one for 3.0. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the book and we're going to pull some files we need from the book. Okay, I'm coming down. So here we are, we're on page 112. And here is the garden application program. So this is something we need to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all this, right-click copy, and then I'm going to bring up Notepad. So I opened up a new version of Notepad. I right-clicked and I pasted that in there. It's called what? Garden App. I right-click copy that, and I go File, Save As. Now I'm going to go for my folder. And I'm going to paste it in there, right? So what's the name? GardenApp.java, right? You got to put in the .java in there, all right? So now we've got a garden app in there. I'm going to get a new file now, and I'm going to get one more program I'm going to need. There's a program in here, another yellow one, Flower Maker, okay? So I'm going to highlight these. Come all the way to the end, hold down the shift key, grab the rest of this. Okay, right-click copy. I'm going to pull up my new folder here, right-click paste. So I come up here. So what am I going to call this? flowermaker.java. I'm going to click copy, go file, save as. So just paste that in there, .java. So is that all I need? Well, let me look. What do I got in there so far? Okay, I've got in there garden application and flowermaker.java. Okay, I think that's going to be enough. Okay, so I go down to the assignment. Okay, so I'm doing these last 3, which we saw a little earlier. So we're going to revise the draw flower method to have 6 smaller circular yellow petals distributed around the outside of the red center, overlapping it somewhat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run BlueJ. So I'm going to go Project, New Project. Now I'm going to navigate to where I was. Okay. So I'm going to call this folder name 3_00. Okay, now I'm going to pull my folders I dropped in here. So I go Edit, Add Class from File. I'm going to pull up my turtle. So I got to have turtlet in there. So I'm going to go edit, add class from file. There's turtlet. So I'll compile them. Okay. So next thing I need my other programs, right? So I'm going to go edit, add class from file. And I'm going to pull up Flower Maker, edit, add class from file, and I'm going to pull up Garden App. So I'm going to compile these, and I'm going to run Garden App. I'm going to right click, go avoid main strings, and I'm going to see what my flowers look like. This is what my flowers look like, okay? So what I need to do is I need to put on 6 yellow petals on these flowers. That's my assignment. And what I do, and the way I do that is I go to Flower Maker, and I go to Open Editor, and I need to add something to the Draw Flower method that's going to put yellow petals around my red flower. So the best thing to do is to sketch this out in the paper to see what this looks like. So I pull up an Excel spreadsheet to show you my thinking on this. Okay, here I put my flower here, and then I established 6 petals. And you can see that here, it's a circle. They all make up a circle. So a circle is what? 360 degrees. So if I divide 6 petals by 60 degrees, I come up with what? 360 divided by 6 is 60. All right, so if the radius of the big circle is 15, and I'm going to make my petal radius 8, because that's about half the size. 8 and 8, 16, right? So that just means that in order for me to get up here, perhaps I just have to go up about 16. Now, whatever distance you pick, and you'll experiment a little bit till you find something that works for you. But basically what you got to remember is that an equilateral triangle is 60 degrees, right? So that means that all the sides are the same length. So if you go up 16, it's going to be you're going to take a turn of 60 degrees, and then you're going to go to your next petal, right? So you got to understand the distance to the center of petal 1 is going to be the same as side 3. And you can see side 3 here in red. See, this is something you just scratch out on a piece of paper and you kind of work into your mind till it makes sense. Maybe you go to a geometry page and kind of figure out for yourself how you're going to make this thing work. So that's the kind of thinking that gets involved. And this keeps you from being scatterbraining for 5 hours, 6 hours trying to make this thing work. And you got to understand that you do pencil on paper stuff for a lot of your assignments, just because it takes thinking. You got to figure out how am I going to attack this problem? What's it going to take to solve it? So in this instance, you see, going back to your geometry and remembering about circles and angles is really helpful. So when am I going to do my petals? When do I finish doing the circle? Right here. I finished filling the circle right about here. So that's where I ought to put my first command. So my first command is going to be what? It's going to be a move command, right? It's not going to be a paint, because I don't want to leave any, I don't want to, I just want it to move to where the flower is going to be. Okay, now I did my flower, and it was kind of lopsided and weird, so I decided I would use Brett Lazinski's command, because his turned out perfect. And I just thought that was so cool. So rather than give you my weird flower, which was lopsided, I'll give you Brett's, which is really nice. So coming over here after fill circle 15, draw the flower petals. Is going to be my next command, right? That's the next thing I'm going to do. So I'm going to come over here. I'm just going to put this comment on its own line so I know where that starts to happen. So I'm going to have to do what? I'm going to have to switch to yellow. We know that. Okay. But let me make my move first. I'll come on down and I'm going to write in here our movement. So since we went straight up for the stem, we don't have to change directions at all. So I'm going to put in a 0 for angle. We're about the middle of the flower. 15 is we went up 15 to create the center of the flower. So we need to go up another 15. So let's go up one more. Let's move up 16. Okay. So that's where we're going to have the center of the petal. All right, so now we're going to switch colors because right now it's red and we need a yellow flower, right? So we're going to go switch to yellow. All right, so here's our first petal. So we're going to go fill circle 8. So let's look at this. I'm going to run the command. Let me save it. Click compile. Now I'm going to compile this. And I'm going to right click, or rather on the garden app. I'm going to click this and see what it looks like. Okay, so now I've got a petal on the top. So let me try a 60 degree here and see what that looks like if I go and add my next command. Go back to Open Editor. Okay, so I made my first petal. So now I'm going to try, I'm going to make a move. Let me try 60, 15. See what this looks like. 60 degrees, 15. 15 pixels. We're going to fill that circle. 8. We'll compile it. Let's see what it looks like now. Okay, that is not going where we wanted it to go. Where do we want it to go? Well, let's try 120 degrees instead of 60. See what that looks like. To come back in here to Flower Maker, open my editor. So instead of 60, let me try 120. Let's see what that looks like. I'll compile it. Pull this down. Compile this and run my garden app. There we go. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay, so let's do the next one. Go back into Flower Maker. I'll open the editor. I'll add my next one. So let's see if this one works with a 60, 15. 60 degrees, 15 pixels. Okay, and we'll just go another fill circle. File it, file this, and run the app again. Okay, that seemed to work fine. That put a new petal right there. Very good. Let's try another one. Okay, well, let's copy this command, and we'll paste it right below it. Okay, so let's compile it and try it again. So that's good. That petal's doing good. So let's try the next one. Let me paste it again. Okay, I've got one more petal to do. Paste it in one more time. Compile. File. Right click. Let's see what that worked. Yep, that's what I want. Okay, so there you go. So I put the petals in, and there's 6 of them, and they work. So let's look at the code real quick. So all I did, let me delete these empty spaces here. All I did was I moved up to where I wanted the radius of my first flower petal to be, which is 1 beyond the radius of the red circle. So that would be where I'd start the radius of my petal. Of course, it's smaller, about half the size, so I switched to the color I wanted to use, and then I made that half the size circle for the petal. And this one here, I moved 120 degrees. The reason I moved 120 degrees was because 60 degrees wasn't working. So, you can try out multiples of 60 till you find where this next one lies. And then afterwards, after that, and of course I put that in there, the rest of them should work out to what we figured out before. Every single petal was going to be 60 degrees, and the radius, the equilateral triangle was 50, the third side of an equilateral triangle, so it's all going to be 15. So we just copied it 3 more times. And we just left the rest of the commands in there. So this is ready for exercise 23. So the next one we do is exercise 121. Okay, you can see this is a thinking process. So what is this one doing? This is writing an application program that draws 5 circles of different colors and sizes at a variety of points on the drawing surface. Pause half a second between circles. So there's 2 things you're doing here. You're going to use the turtle method, and you're going to go to different locations, and you're going to be drawing circles, which we've done before. You see we did the circles all with the yellow petals. Well, this time we're just going to go random places and draw circles. Okay? And then you're going to throw in a wait time. Now, this is something we learned how to do back in the chapter. Okay? So this one's pretty easy and straightforward, especially if you did the exercise with the target. Let me show you that. Okay, exercise 118 is an application that draws a target. So instead of putting them at around each other, you just put the circles at various places, and of course you got to remember to put the sleep in there so that it pauses between the drawings. But basically, just at the end of the chapter, you see this says no star at the end of it. At the end of the chapter is how you go about doing this. So if you need a refresher on that, that's an easy thing to do. Go to the end of the chapter. That's why this one particular one's so easy. Okay, here you see We're back in Blue Jay, so I'm going to add a new class. So I'm going to click on New Class. I'll call this one Circles. I'll just click OK. And I'm going to right-click this one. I'm going to open the editor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this, and I'm just going to start fresh. I'm going to go Public Class Circles. Okay, so what do I need? I'm going to start out with opening curly brace. And of course, I come down, put in a closing curly brace. That's how I do my thing, so I don't forget something. So what is it I'm doing here? I'm doing 5 circles. Different sizes and colors. Okay, we're just going to write public static void main. And we're going to put our parentheses here, string args. Now, of course, in here, what we're going to need is our curly braces. So now what do? I got to instantiate my circle, right? So I'm going to call this turtle, oh, I don't know, Mike. Mike is a new turtle. So now I'm going to switch Mike to some kind of color. Remember, have to have a dot, right? Because it's a method. Switch to turtle dot yellow. We want it to have a yellow color. We put a semicolon. Now we're going to move somewhere. I don't know. Like move. So where are we moving to? Oh, I don't know. I guess 170, 20. Oh, wait a minute. We want them to turn up. So put 90 degrees in there. I don't know. 150 sounds good. So this is my first circle. So we'll just do the Mike fill circle. Yeah, we'll put in there 20. Okay. Now we got to put in the sleep command. Mike sleep. Now, how long is a millisecond? It's 1,000th of a second, right? So what's a half second? If 1 second is 1,000 seconds, what's a half second? 500, right? So he's going to go 500 milliseconds. So that's 1/2 second. So the reason you do that, you know, if you don't know that a millisecond is 1,000th of a second, look it up online. Save yourself some grief. Or better yet, look it up in the chapter, right? So now I'm going to switch to another color. Yeah, I ought to do this in all caps too, right? Okay, so let's have him move 45 degrees. And we'll go 100. And then we'll do Mike fill circle is 50. Okay, let's compile this. Is everything working okay? Seems to be. Let's go back here and let's see what it looks like so far. So I got a yellow and an orange. So I'm going to come down. It's way high, right? Open editor. The mic. Move. Do 45 degrees. And the circle will be 35. How about 35? Okay. 35 wide. Well, let's change colors here. Come on up. Mic switch to. What kind of a turtle are we going to have here? Over here, Mike. Fill circle. We'll do another 21. See what this looks like. Okay, that's interesting. All right, we'll go down to a 90-degree one here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my movement, my fill, and my switch to. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste this. Backspace. So I have, what am I going to switch to? Blue, I guess. And I'm going to move 90. And I'm going to move 75. And I make a circle 90. I compile this. I'll run this. Okay, that went too fast and not having the seconds in between. That needs to be further down, I think. So I'll change that. Okay, what did I forget? I forgot the sleep, right? So I'm going to copy this. Copy. And I'm going to enter this. Paste it in here. And I'm going to enter here. And paste it in here. Finally, I'm going to paste it in here. All right, so we need to bring this one further down. So you move 90 degrees, 75. Let's have him move 100 or 25. Okay, let's see if this works. I'm going to compile. You right-click circles. You run this. Click OK. Yes, I had the times in between now. Come on down. And let me copy everything here. Enter. Paste. Okay, so I'm switching to what color? I went yellow, orange, pink, blue. How about violet? Okay, I moved 90, 125. How about 90, 75? I did a fill circle 90. How about a fill circle 15? I would say compile this. It doesn't like violet. Okay, so let's do a different color. Let's do green. Okay, so I compiled everything, compiled fine. So let's go back to the editor, right click, run it. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got it. So there we go. Now you can do whatever you want. You can put those circles whatever you want. You can put those sizes however you want. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so that's the second assignment. So when I open up, I should at least see these. Okay. So they're going to ask you, when do you use parentheses? Well, let's look at the circles here. Let's see when we use parentheses. This is the last section of the assignment. Well, let me take you there. Exercise 122, describe all the kinds of situations where you have seen within a class in which you use parentheses. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'll pull up a word or something. So there you go. You can see where we've got this. Now, where do we see the parentheses? Let's go back into your Blue Jay. Okay, let's go in the circles program editor. Okay, where do we see? We see one right here in the main argument, right? So in the main method, we have parentheses. Okay, I wrote it out. So the first is the declaration of the main method. That's where we see the first use here of parentheses. Okay, the second time we see it, what? A variable is given a method to complete. So here's the variable, and here's the method to complete. Okay, so you write it out. Let's look again at this. Okay, and here we also see another time is when the executor is given specific instructions. In other words, distance to go, what kind of degrees to make, that kind of thing. So, just go through and explain where you see it, and then what you do is you go save it in the folder that you're going to put it into. And what we're going to call it is when to use parentheses. Okay. And you're all done with the assignment.